On today's episode of the John Campea Show, we're going to be talking about the Oscars results. It was the best Oscars they've had in a while. Who won? Who got snubbed? We're going to discuss all that kind of stuff. Little Mermaid debuted its full trailer. We're going to discuss that in just a little bit. The Last of Us had its season finale last night. Also, it looks like there's more recasting going on in the Daredevil. Vanessa is getting a brand new actress. That and a few things more. The John Campea Show starts right now. Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel, brought to you in part by our friends at Mint Mobile. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, TV and streaming, and all sorts of good stuff. Joining me here today, we got Ray Ora back there. We got Taylor Gonzalez running the show is Jonathan Boyko. Over there, we've got the delightful Chris Carr. And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here and making this show part of your day. Here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to talk about a few predetermined topics. Then in the last part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. When we get to the end of the main topics, we'll announce that we're opening up the super chats. We only leave them open for just a couple of minutes. So make sure you have your questions ready to go, and we'll address those in the second half of the show. All right, guys, we got a bunch of things to cover here today. So let's start off with this, shall we? Well, you know, there's been a discussion and debate going on for a while with Daredevil now coming over to the MCU, and we're all excited. I'm excited about an 18-episode Daredevil Born Again story coming to Disney. Don't know exactly when it's going to come. They keep shifting the release schedules a little bit, but we found out the other day that John Bernthal is going to be there. We obviously already knew that Vincent D'Onofrio was back as Kingpin because we got that in the Hawkeye series, so we knew that already. But the debate is still raged, despite the fact that Charlie Cox, the actor who plays Daredevil, has kind of said repeatedly and kind of implied to the audience, this is not the exact same Daredevil as the one we had in Netflix. So there's been at least 3 or 4 different occasions where he's made statements that sound like he's been trying to prep the audience, prepare them and you know, that has caused the debate. Is this a Daredevil, this new Daredevil in Disney Plus? Is this a Daredevil that is exactly like the Daredevil that was in Netflix with Charlie Cox, Vincent D'Onofrio, now John Bernthal? Or is it exactly the same Daredevil? Like that Daredevil that we saw on Netflix, that is the exact same guy. It's the same story, all the same stuff. Well, Charlie Cox has kind of implied over the past year and a bit that it's a different Daredevil. Then we just found out recently that Karen and Foggy, who are, I think it's safe to say, the 3rd and 4th most important characters on Daredevil after, you know, Daredevil and Wilson Fisk, Kingpin, and they're not even going to be here. And now we find out this. Vanessa has been recast. According to the Hollywood Reporter, the Better Call Saul's, and I want to see if I make sure I get her name right. Sandrine? Is that how you say her name? Anybody want to take a wild guess at this?
Yeah, I think it's Sandrine.
Sandrine. And I lost her name here. I had it here a second. What's her full name?
Sandrine.
No one's got it. Beautiful.
I got it. I wrote it down. Sandrine Holt.
Holt. Okay.
Steve
From
Holt.
Better Call Saul.
Give me that raise.
Is replacing the previous, and we go to my screen on this. This was our Vanessa from the Netflix series.
I let do her.
She was great. I loved, actually, her and Vincent D'Onofrio, their chemistry together was fantastic. I loved them. I totally believed that he would have burned the world for her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You hurt Vanessa. That's one of the best lines in the series. I love that. However, this is now our Vanessa. And they're both talented, wonderful actresses, whatever. But again, I'm going to go out on. You guys know I have thought for a while, ever since they announced that Daredevil was coming, that it wasn't going to be the exact same Daredevil. Now, Kevin Feige has not come out and confirmed that. It's still possible that this is the exact same Daredevil from that. This is just a pure continuation of the story. But I have not thought that that's the case. And I think the fact that we don't see Karen in it, we don't see Foggy in it. Now they're recasting the Vanessa character. I don't know. I'm thinking it's pretty clear that this is a very, very similar Daredevil to the Netflix series, but not exactly the same. And of course, Hawkeye kind of confirmed that with the fact that Kingpin suddenly had superpowers, which he did not have in the Daredevil series. But at any rate, Chris, you saw that they did the recast on this. Mm-hmm. Is this just a matter of, hey, you know what? Shows recast characters sometimes. Is this that? Is it a little bit more? Should we read anything into it? What do you think about the change?
I mean, I do think it is one of those things that really solidifies this being a different Daredevil. It bums me out, though, because I love her. I believe you pronounce her name Eilert. She is incredible. Her first English-speaking role was in Munich. Starting in a Spielberg movie as your American debut, I think is a really, really awesome thing. She was also in your favorite movie, Man of Steel.
Yep.
And she's killer as Vanessa. You understood their relationship. You also could see her becoming a Kingpin figure as well. I mean, she also knew how to play the game. She understood Fisk. She loved him in spite of all of the things about him. I think she loved a lot of those aspects of how violent he was too, honestly. And I thought she did such a dynamic job. So this does make me a little sad, but hopefully, Miss Holt will do a great job.
Jonathan, I want to ask you, again, this is a standing question that has been around the fan circles for quite a while. Is this like the other Daredevil, or is it literally the other Daredevil? Do you see this, the recasting of Vanessa kind of leaning one way or the other on that?
I would say this is like that Daredevil. I think it's just a different, I don't know why they haven't said it, because we are in the multiverse saga. And just say, yeah, this is Daredevil, that's him, that's the same person, but a different universe. I mean, this is clearly a different universe. I think you could even go back to the Netflix series when they used to say the event. Remember that?
Yes.
They never
actually said
Avengers that guy with the hammer
or
the event. So something different happened there. And this is another multiversal, part of the saga. That's my because even Daredevil is superpowered in this a little bit, because in She-Hulk, he did that little jump flip off of a 4-story car park.
He's just really good. He practices a lot.
Yeah, your knees would shatter if you weren't superpowered off of that.
Parkour.
He's like parkour.
It's just like extension of The Office. It's just that simple.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about the recast of Vanessa? Is it, which it very well could be, is it a simple recast, just like some TV shows sometimes do? Or is this yet another sign that this is probably a different Daredevil than the one we had in Netflix? Whatever you guys think, because we don't have a definitive answer yet one way or the other, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, let's discuss this here for a second. Going into the Oscars, one of the things that I was looking forward to, amongst many, 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 many things I was looking forward to, was getting our actual first look at The Little Mermaid. We've had these just little clips, these little teases of it. So we've gotten a little bit of a sense of what will the underwater effects look like. We've gotten a small sample size of the incredible vocal pipes that young Haley brings to the table. But we were waiting to see the full trailer. They showed a bunch of it on the Oscars. They dropped the full thing on YouTube. This thing is going to make a lot of money. I watched this. Look, I am not the biggest fan of The Little Mermaid. Not that I don't like The Little Mermaid. Please stop yelling at your computer monitors. I'm not saying I didn't like The Little Mermaid. But when I go down, the Pantheon list of the great Disney films, starting at the top with Lion King and Aladdin and all the others, Little Mermaid for me is further down the list, right?
It saved the studio, John.
I know, but I am not.
It was their Top Gun Maverick.
I am not what you would say a dyed-in-the-wool, Little Mermaid fan. So I don't bring any dog to this hunt in this whatsoever, whether this movie's good or bad or whatever. But I got to tell you, I thought it looked great. And when Melissa McCarthy came in on stage with her and did it, I just thought, God, this is actually kind of perfect. And when she starts really belting in this thing, I was like, if you had any question about why her, there you go. Why was she cast as Ariel? There you go. And I had no idea or I completely forgot that Javier Bardem was in this movie. I love Javier Bardem. So that also got me pretty excited. The one thing I will say, the one thing that my wife Anne was a little bit unhappy with, because she loved the trailer too, was that I don't know who this kid is that's playing the prince. That's the one thing. What's his name?
Oh,
Jonah something?
Jonah Howard King.
Jonah Howard Keane. All right. So I'm not super familiar with his work, or at least I don't remember it off the top of my head. I just remember, even though we didn't really get to hear him say any lines of dialogue, that was the one part that my wife went, I'm not buying him. But he hasn't said any lines. So, right? So once we hear him actually start giving dialogue, maybe we will
Maybe
at that
he
point.
loses his voice in this one.
Maybe they just gave it away. But I'll tell you what, I really like the trailer. Now, how many trailers have I seen that I've loved that I ended up not liking the movies very much? It happens. But as far as just the trailer goes, I'll tell you what, I thought it looked really good. Disney obviously had enough faith in it to put it up in the Oscars and all that kind of stuff. So I liked it. Anyway, Chris, you had a chance to see the trailer for The Little Mermaid. What did you think about it?
I didn't love this.
Oh, you did? I thought you would have.
And I'm total opposite of you too, because I grew up with that Disney Renaissance, and these movies I watched in a loop. I had like 3 different Ariel Barbies, and I was obsessed. Yeah, I know. Well, one was because my dad accidentally bought one, and then my mom, Santa. Anyway, so I really was excited about this, and I love her voice, and I really, really like the casting of everyone in here. And I think that kid looks a lot like Prince Eric from the cartoon, too. So I'm not sure what Anne's deal is here. But there's just something very uncanny, and I understand she's a mermaid. They're under the sea. There's fish and crabs dancing and singing. But because they've made the animals look really realistic, there's just something jarring about the trailer visually that I couldn't really get on board with. But maybe I'll change my mind once I see.
Did
more.
you want like the big Sebastian eyes?
I kind of did, honestly.
I'm not kidding, because with some people, I remember when Lion King came out, like there were people who really wanted the lions to look like animated lions.
Yeah.
And that's understandable, because that's kind of what we grew up with. I personally really loved the remake of Lion King. Mm-hmm. It's not as good as the original, but I really, really liked it. But I remember talking to a lot of people who thought, you know what, it may have clicked a little bit better with me if the faces at least kind of look like the faces in the original. So it still looked animated, right? And I wonder, again, as somebody who's not a big fan of The Little Mermaid, I wonder if for some people, if that's the case with like, we had Sebastian the Crab, but it didn't look like Sebastian the Crab from the animated film. I wonder if that would have made a difference. I don't know.
I'm not sure. And it's one of those things too, that if this is something like the other live actions that just doesn't really jive with me, I can go back and watch the cartoons, right? This isn't taking anything from me or spoiling my like nostalgia for the old movies. Just right now, I'm just not super in love with what I've seen.
Well, and let's call it what it is here. Disney is very hit and miss with their live action adaptations.
Oh, yes.
They're very, very hit and miss. Like when they hit, like again, Kenneth Branagh's Cinderella, it hits big. Mm-hmm. I love that movie. When they do Beauty and the Beast, when they do Maleficent, when they for some reason do Maleficent 2, I mean, they are a mixed bag, right? It's a coin toss about what you're going to get with Disney when they do a live action. I hope this one is one of the good ones, though.
Me too.
Oh no, well, Pinocchio was one of the good ones. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my God. Okay. I was like, what happened?
Pinocchio was terrible. So bad. But we'll see how this one does. Question is for you guys. What did you think about the Little Mermaid trailer? We're divided in the room here. I actually quite liked it, and I'm not even a big Little Mermaid fan. Chris is a Little Mermaid fan, didn't love it all that much. What do you guys think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. The big event last night was the Oscars. It's the biggest night of the movie year. It is my second favorite day of the year other than Christmas. But there was another damn big event last night that I was really excited about. That was the finale of The Last of Us. Now, a little bit later today, I will be doing an open spoiler discussion of The Last of Us. So we're going to speak in more unspoilery kind of terms. However, we are going to be talking about it. So if you don't want to know anything about what happened in the season finale of The Last of Us, maybe you want to mute your computer until we move on to our next topic here. But just giving you a little bit of warning. So this has been, I think the best show on TV right now, and it's been a while since a show replaced Yellowstone as what I believe is the best show on TV. And I think Last of Us surpassed Yellowstone. For me, I mean, no disrespect to Yellowstone or Succession or any of the other great television that's on right now. But I think Last of Us exceeded it. Now, the question has been, are they going to be able to stick the landing? And it's going to be a matter of opinion and a matter of interpretation. For me, it stuck the landing. It absolutely stuck the landing. And again, this one episode kind of became a microcosm of what this entire series has been. Because a lot of this episode, almost frame by frame, follows the video game. And yet there are some massive differences from the video game. And where they took liberties, they made it even better. Like, I'm not going to go into the details, but those of you who saw the episode, the beginning of this episode was an addition to the lore of Last of Us that I don't think any of us knew we needed. It was beautiful. It added so much more depth to certain characters we already had. It added a layer of understanding to characters that we know. It just was, again, it was something we didn't even know we needed, because it starts playing. I'm like, this wasn't in the game, right? And I turn to the other people in the room who were with me, like, yeah, no, this is not in the game. And it plays through, and then a certain reveal happens, and you're like, oh my God, this is brilliant. I love this. This is great. And then from there on, they pretty much beat by beat follow the game and how the first game of The Last of Us concludes. And I thought it was banger. I thought it was absolutely wonderful. I loved it. And it's great because as we're watching it, Ray is watching the show with me and a bunch of us, and he has not played the game. And Joel is doing stuff, and Ray's like, I don't know if I'm down with what Joel's doing, which made me so happy to hear that, because that's exactly the response that the game itself was trying to get out of people playing it. That you are supposed to become, as a person, torn and divided in amongst yourself about whether or not you're down with what Joel's doing. Some people will say yes, some people will definitely say no, but that was his response, that it was supposed to thrust us as viewers into this context that Joel finds himself thrust into. And it leaves the audience asking, do I agree with what Joel's doing? And it's supposed to make us think, and it's supposed to divide us. And I remember as Ray said that, I remember thinking, well, damn, it really worked. Because I didn't know. I knew it worked in the game. I didn't know if it would work in the TV show. And just the fact that Ray said that out loud, I went, well, there you go. It works. And the only thing that sucked about the finale of Last of Us for me was the fact that we now probably have to wait 1.5 years to 2 years for the next episode. Because the way that episode ends, the way that thing ends, which is exactly where it was supposed to end, just leaves you going, I got to see how this plays out next week. But there is no next week. There is next year, or maybe 2 years from now. Anyway, Chris, I loved the finale. I think they stuck the landing. I don't think it was the best episode of the season per se, but I thought they did a great job. What did you think about this season finale of The Last of Us?
It was great. We rewatched it this morning, and when that end beat happens, because Logan didn't get this far in the game, right? He screamed. It was like, what? No! Why is this the end? But all of us here, we double checked too. Jonathan was playing like a reaction video so we could make sure it was beat for beat the ending, and sure enough, it was. So they did a really, really great job on this. One of the most beautiful, magical moments in the game, too, is done so well here. And it's so nice and heartwarming and lovely. I really, really liked it. This is also the episode where we knew she was coming. We finally get Ashley Johnson in the mix.
Yes, and she killed it.
Oh, she was so great. She just did such a phenomenal job. I really, really love how they really respected the original actors and brought them in and gave them these great meaty parts to mess with. It's such a good episode. Gosh, I mean, just that image right there. Like, look at her. Yeah. It's wonderful. It's such a good episode. I can't wait to just binge the entire series again and just cry my eyes out.
I remember when I mentioned Anne, that's the little cleric from Vox Machina. She was, oh, okay, because we really like Vox Machina. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What did you think, if you had a chance to see it already, and if you even watched the show, What did you think about the finale of The Last of Us? Again, a little bit later today, we'll be doing our open spoiler after show discussion of the show to wrap up the year. Come on back and join us a little bit later today. But what did you think about it? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we're going to take a quick break here and thank the sponsors of today's episode, at least a couple of them right now, our friends over at Manscaped and Helix. Hey guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Manscaped. Breaking news, Manscaped now sells beard products. That's right, they are once again revolutionizing men's grooming with the brand new Beard Hedger Pro Kit. Now you can finally use Manscaped products to make your drapes match your carpet by going to manscaped.com and using the code Campea for 20% off and free shipping. It all starts with the Beard Hedger. This thing is a juggernaut of fixing faces. First off, this cordless trimmer has a rotary wheel that gives you 20 hair cutting lengths, all with one guard. So no more messy drawers full of extra add-ons. You also get the beard shampoo and conditioner. Because guys, you gotta remember that all of your hair is different. Your beard hair is more coarse and easier to damage than the hair on your head. Next, the kit has Manscaped's beard oil. The oil relieves dryness both on the beard and the skin beneath. You then cap it off with the Beard Balm that shapes, styles, moisturizes, and tames for a sculpted look. The Pro Beard Kit also comes with 3 special gifts: a beard brush, comb, and scissors to ensure your beard is ready to impress. So get 20% off and free shipping with the code Campea at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code Campea. Manscaped Beard Hedger, 1 stroke, 1 guard, 20 lengths. Guys, we want to take a second and thank the sponsor of this video, Helix Sleep. Guys, let me tell you, just a couple of days ago, Ann and I received our Helix mattress, and it is the best mattress we have ever slept on in our entire lives. We had like this $3,000 specialized mattress that we got like 5-6 years ago, and we liked it very much, but this one completely outdoes it. It's night and day. And you can get matched with your perfect mattress too. See, Helix Sleep has a quiz that takes just like a minute to complete, and it matches your body type and sleep preferences to the perfect mattress for you. Why would you buy a mattress made for somebody else? With Helix, you're getting a mattress that you know will be perfect for the way that you sleep. I hopped online, took the Helix quiz, and Ann and I were matched with the perfect mattress for us. And it is so easy to set up. Simply take it out of the box, get it positioned on your mattress, take off the plastic, and then give it an hour or two to breathe to reach its full size, and you will not believe how comfortable this thing is. All you got to do is go to helixsleep.com/Campea. Take their 60-second sleep quiz, and they'll match you to a customized mattress that will give you the best sleep of your life. And it's risk-free. They have a 10-year warranty, and you get to try it out for 100 nights. They'll even pick it up for you if you don't love it, but you will. Helix even has financing options and flexible payment plans, so a great night's sleep is never far away. And here's the best part. Helix is offering up to $200 off of all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners at helixsleep.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Manscaped and Helix for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. Remember, guys, when you check out and support our sponsors, you're actually supporting us. So if you go down to the description of this video, you'll find links and promo codes to our sponsors. And thank you again to Manscaped and Helix. All right, guys. With that down, let's get into our main topic here, shall we? Last night was the Oscars. And it was, not to bury the lead, the best Oscars they've had in years. I've seen a lot of the headlines reading that they decided to keep it simple, go back to basics. They did, and it was incredibly effective. Now, I still have some notes about how they still need to improve the show, but I thought last night was great. I thought they did a really, really good job of producing the show overall. And I don't know, did anybody else catch Jimmy Kimmel making the same comment I've been making for years? Nicole Kidman encouraging people to go to a movie theater that they're already sitting in. I'm like, you son of a bitch. He completely stole that joke from me. No, he didn't steal from me. But I was like, yeah, like everybody looked at me when he made that joke. It was great. The winners were great. The speeches were wonderful. The speeches were really, really good. I am still left to wonder how people who, if there's more than one of them that would accept, like if you're nominated and there's more than one of you, how do you not work out in advance? Now, remember, we have limited time. So if you're going to speak first in our acceptance speech, keep it short. Because I counted at least twice where the first person spoke and spoke and spoke and spoke. And then as the second person was stepping in to say a word, the music played and they cut the camera away from them. It's like, and I don't blame the Oscars for that. I blame the nominees. You got to have that shit worked out before you walk up on stage. So I always felt bad for the second guy. But the in memoriam was great. I also noticed that right away. Correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't noticed this before. Every year when there's an in memoriam, no matter how beautifully it's done, there will be complaints afterwards about how could you leave so-and-so off, or how could you leave so-and-so off? So did you notice that as soon as the in memoriam was done, the Oscars brought up a saying, to see a fuller honoring of all those we lost this year, please visit oscars.com/in memoriam or something like that. I thought that was a really smart move on their part. By the way, was William Hurt on there?
I don't remember.
Was it this year?
When did he pass away? Because
did he pass away before last year's Oscars? I can't remember.
Check.
yeah, I feel like if he passed away this year, if it was January, or if it was
So I just couldn't remember. That's the only one that I kind of noticed, but it might have been the year before. Maybe it just still feels like yesterday that he died to me.
2022.
He died in 2022?
March 13th, 2022.
March.
So that would have been right before the Oscars, right? When was the exact date of anyway?
I think he was featured there.
Oh, was
that?
he featured last year?
Yeah, okay.
Last
So
year.
then there you go. Then I didn't notice anybody, but for anybody that was, they had another thing all set up where people can go see, and I thought that was well done. All right. Look, there's no other way to put it. This will be the year remembered as Everything Everywhere All at Once's year. They did not sweep, but they won. What did they end up winning? 7 or 8?
7.
End up winning 7 Oscars last night. And what a night for these guys.
They were up there a lot.
Yes, they were. The Daniels, and I'll tell you what, I couldn't be bigger fans of these guys than I thought I couldn't be bigger fans than I saw the way they handle their acceptance speeches. And I'm like, you know what? I love these guys. These guys are great. I hope they're around. And how about their editor going, this is my second movie.
Yeah, I was a little bit, as an editor, I'm like,
Well, he did a great job.
yeah.
So it was completely their year. A lot of things to talk about. So let's go down, shall we? The winners, and then maybe who got snubbed. I'll be honest, I'm going to tell you this right up front. I do not believe anybody got snubbed. Nobody got snubbed.
Uh-oh.
Because, yeah, I really don't. I think even in the categories, because I think I missed 2, but even in the categories that I missed, and somebody else won that other than what I picked, there was like, well, they were completely deserving too.
Dark Knight should have won.
Remember,
with the sound.
remember, everybody misuses the word snub. Snub is not just, well, the person I thought should have won didn't win. It's like where it's so obvious that no rational person anywhere thinks that the person who won should have won. Like it has to be that extreme to pull out a word like snubbed.
Right.
Because snubbed implies like it's like the Academy just purposefully stuck it to you. Because there's no other explanation. There's no other explanation that somebody else went other than you, other than they were just deliberately trying to stick it to you. So I just think people throw the word snub around a little bit too lightly. But let's go through the results here, shall we? Best Picture. We're going to start with the big one. Now, personally, for me, Fabelmans was my favorite film of the year. But I did on the show the day before the Oscars, I did my final Oscar prediction show. I said, like everybody else said, Everything Everywhere All at Once is going to win. And by the time they got to the best Oscar, the Best Picture Oscar, there was no drama left. They won Best Screenplay, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress, Best Supporting Actor, Best Directors. I mean, there would have been some explaining to do had it not won Best Picture if it won all those other awards. But Everything Everywhere All at Once caps off an absolutely dominating evening. Now, actress in a leading role, Michelle Yeoh. Michelle Yeoh ended up taking it home. There was still, the odds money was still on Cate Blanchett. And I think Cate Blanchett was the heavy favorite going into SAG. But once Michelle Yeoh won at SAG, and remember the day after, we all went, well, this muddies the waters a bit. Because if SAG gave it to Michelle Yeoh, she's got a serious chance. And sure enough, Michelle Yeoh ends up taking it, makes a beautiful speech at the end there. I absolutely loved it. And again, you could just feel the momentum at that point in the ceremony anyway. Best actor in a leading role. Personally, I thought it should have been Colin Farrell, but I did call the day before. I mean, it was clear the momentum had been moving in Brendan Fraser's direction. And by the way, who's going to say Brendan Fraser did not deserve that Oscar? I mean, my pick was Colin Farrell, but Fraser and he might have given the speech of the night. There was such a realness in his speech because, I'm paraphrasing, but, I was riding high in this business and then I thought it was gone. And now here we are. I mean, it was a beautiful, beautiful, and I don't know, just all I could see, because when I was younger, I loved George of the Jungle. I don't care what anybody says. I love George of the Jungle. And I'm watching there. And what did Kimmel say? He goes, 2 guys from Encino Man have won Oscars tonight. 2 people from Encino Man. There's 2 people from Encino Man in that picture. Won Oscars tonight. I thought it was a fabulous, fabulous, fabulous speech. I loved it. All right. So yeah, I don't think there's any real big controversy over that. We get in Best Directors, the Kims. I would have personally given it to Steven Spielberg for Fabelmans, but what the Daniels did with Everything Everywhere All at Once is breathtakingly beautiful. They made a movie that felt outrageously original, yet heartwarmingly familiar all at the same time. And I don't know how they pulled that off, but they pulled it off, and kudos to them. Everything Everywhere All at Once wins Best Directors. Film editing, Everything Everywhere All at Once takes it. I actually thought 1 or 2 others may slip in ahead of it, but the editing in it is fantastic. Again, Paul Rogers with that one comment of the night, guys, this is my second movie that I've ever edited, was fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic. So they win Best Editing. Music, Best Song. I'll tell you what, I am not a fan of RRR. I'm the only one. I'm not the only one who did not like RRR, but I'm the only one brave enough on a public platform to say I didn't like it. Everybody else is scared to death to say, but I'll tell you what, that song should have won.
Oh, it slaps.
That song should have won. And it might have been the highlight of the Oscars for me.
So fun.
That dance number and the acceptance speech and every moment that movie was being represented on the stage, I adored. I ate up. I honestly, I don't think I can remember a better dance number at the Academy Awards. That you could feel the fun, you could feel the energy in the thing, right? And it won, and it deserved to win, and it was great. So the song from RR, Not To, ends up winning Best Song. All right, Best Sound, got the biggest eruption of cheers in my house last night, went to Top Gun Maverick.
Should have been the Batman.
Like, you'd think Ray was there in the audience, because when they announced Top Gun Maverick, yeah! And like a bunch of other people in the house too.
Come on.
And you know what? Well deserved. The sound in that movie is crazy, 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 crazy good. So, ladies and gentlemen, Top Gun Maverick is an Academy Award winning film. It is an Academy Award winning film. Well done to Top Gun Maverick.
Yep.
All right. Best Adapted Screenplay. Some people said the other day I was crazy when I said that Women Talking was going to take it, but it did. Women Talking took home Best Adapted Screenplay with, again, a really nice speech by Sarah Polley afterwards. Best Original Screenplay. Again, the evening of Everything Everywhere All at Once took it home, written by the Daniels. So they won Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Writer. So good on them. They won that. Best Visual Effects. No surprise. This was the lock of the evening. I think the Vegas odds on Avatar winning was like plus 5,000.
You actually lost if you won.
You actually lost money. You just wrap your head around this. To win $100, if you went to Vegas and put down a bet, to win $100 and you're betting on Avatar, you would have had to have put up $5,000. You would have had to have risked $5,000 to win $100. But turns out it would have been a pretty safe
You would have made more
investment.
money in a treasury note.
Yeah. All right. Now let's go to the supporting. And this is the one that has gotten some controversial buzz. Best Supporting Actress in a Leading Role went to Jamie Lee Curtis. For a long time, I thought, I almost said Angelica Houston. For the longest time,
Angela Bassett
was, I thought, a lock to win it. But again, then came SAG, the Screen Actors Guild, the one all the actors actually vote on. And Jamie Lee Curtis won the SAG. And again, we said, oh, this muddies the waters. a little bit. And listen, take nothing away. Jamie Lee Curtis's performance in Everything Everywhere All at Once is nutty. Like absolutely nutty good. I loved her character in that. And she had to play from when she was not possessed to being possessed and the different dimensions, versions of herself and all that kind of stuff. It was great. But I'll tell you what, well, I think Brendan Fraser had the best speech of the night. I think my favorite moment of any of the speeches was Jamie Lee Curtis when she was saying, to all my genre fans, we won an Oscar. To all my, production family, we won an Oscar. But then she says at the end, and I almost broke up a little bit, when she said, to my mom and dad, who both were nominated for Oscars, I won an Oscar. I'm getting emotional right now just thinking about that. I'm getting totally emotional just thinking about it. I just thought that was beautiful and wonderful and all that kind of stuff. And then again, we got into Best Supporting Actor. This one ended up being a complete lock because there was no mixture of who would win and who would not win in this. But Ke Huy Quan won Best Supporting Actor. And I will tell you what, he's won a lot this season. But there was something about that speech that I was just kind of, I was tearing up. I was tearing up watching his acceptance speech. I mean, it's, when you look at that guy, but there's a theme here, both him and Brendan Fraser, right? Two actors who maybe younger in their careers, for him, much younger, but younger in their careers were kind of hot commodities. They were on a roll. And then all of a sudden their careers were gone and probably never dreamed a day was coming that they would be standing on stage at the Academy Awards accepting Oscars. And I got legit emotional watching this dude talk about that. I was thrilled to see him do that. So, and then of course, Best Animated Feature, it went to Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, which again, I would have given it to Turning Red. And then I would have given it to Puss in Boots. And then I would have given it to Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. But it was clear it was going to win. It was absolutely clear. Everybody knew it was going to win. And sure enough, it did win. And Guillermo del Toro had some great words too about animation and the state of animation, and animation is cinema and all that kind of stuff. And that was wonderful as well. So those are the bigger categories. Chris, I mean, obviously none of us had every single one that we wanted to win. Are there any in here that particularly stand out to you that you thought, I'm surprised this one went that way?
I mean, I just want to bring up that I am 2 for 2 for Best Picture locks. Thank you. She remains undefeated on this panel.
You trying to start something, huh?
I'm always trying to start something. So we started our Oscar party off on a rough note because they opened with animation and Puss in Boots lost, and I thought Taylor was going to flip a table.
I think so much.
It was so hard to see. But the one that really stood out for me was Jamie Lee Curtis. I think Stephanie Hsu is so incredible in that film. And for someone in that movie to win Best Supporting, I would have given it to her. And I really thought that Angela Bassett was a lock for that too. I also want to address, people are saying Angela Bassett reacted poorly. She was upset she didn't win. How would you act in that moment? Why do people want her to be so performative?
I love it. Love it. When people who not only have never been in that situation, will never be in that situation. And she was, even though Jamie Lee Curtis's odds got a lot closer after she won SAG, right? She was still the odds-on favorite to win. And when the name gets, listen, you don't judge somebody by their initial facial expression the moment they just found out their dreams have been dashed.
Especially when they're told they're the lock.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you saw Riseborough, right? Mm-hmm. Like she instantly jumped to her feet and applauded and
She's
stuff like that.
relieved
That's
in a way.
because she never thought in 1,000 years she was going to win, right? So, but Angela, she was the front runner, and she just found out that this pinnacle of her career, which is walking on stage to accept an Oscar, that she thought she had was the probability to get it. In that instant millisecond, didn't get it. Fuck you. Everybody's like, she didn't handle it right.
Yeah.
It was the moment she found out and her face didn't do something.
She wasn't performative for people. And I think that's what I have an issue with.
If
Diane Warren didn't clap when she lost.
look, if she
No one's
came
yelling
out
at her.
to the mic afterwards, if Angela came out and pulled a Kanye, it's like, hey, I'm happy for you, Jamie, but I was the best performance of the
Yeah.
year. If she had done that, then maybe. But yeah, I think it's ridiculous.
I just think people's reaction is so ridiculous. And again, because we aren't coming for anyone else who behaved that way. So I'm not sure why we're doing it to Angela Bassett.
You know, the one and only time, and it actually happened tonight, where I thought, wow, someone didn't win and they're actually happy for the other person, was when Steven Spielberg didn't win Best Movie. And he was up there like, oh, it's Harrison and Key. Like, you saw him get excited.
He was so happy.
Yeah, Steven's got his Oscars.
Like, he
He's
didn't
already
care.
known as the
He's
greatest
like,
of all
I don't
time.
need it.
But I think by the time the Oscars came, like I think a month or two ago, maybe 2.5 months ago, it looked like Fabelmans was a serious contender. But in the last couple of months, I think it became pretty clear, even though it was still my number one pick, I think it became pretty clear the last couple of months that Fabelmans was not going to win Best Picture and Steven was not going to win Best Director. And I think, listen, he's been through this rodeo many, many, many times. So it's like, I don't think it affected him.
Did you see the shot of Big Daddy?
Big Daddy.
Your Big Daddy.
Oh,
Big Daddy
Iger.
Did
Big
you
Papa
see it?
Iger being
Front
there?
and center. Yeah,
Yeah.
there was no, because I was watching the monologue because I missed it because I came late. But during sometime during the monologue, they showed Iger, and I was
Yeah,
like, "Oh,
so
front
Big
and center, right there."
Got to put the most powerful person in Hollywood front and center, I suppose, at some point. I'm surprised Kimmel didn't. Well, I guess he's Kimmel's boss. So I guess that's why I didn't go after him.
He's not gonna touch that.
Anyway, so you thought that it was going to go to Angela. So.
I did, yeah. That was really the only one that I went, oh, okay. But I mean, great speech from Jamie Lee Curtis. Obviously, these were all really wonderful performances. It's just that was one where I went, oh, I didn't put that on my ballot correctly.
What about Michelle Yeoh winning for Best Actress over Cate Blanchett? Because Cate Blanchett, again, up until SAG, this award season had been Cate Blanchett's award season. She had been kind of sweeping it up and gathering them up, and then came SAG and it went to Michelle Yeoh. What did you think about that?
I thought that was well deserved. I've been a lock for Michelle Yeoh from day one. I love her in this film. I think she's incredible. And Cate Blanchett is great in Tar. That is a fantastic performance. Really, really well-deserved nomination. But she knocked it out of the park. She was wonderful. We all were screaming and chanting in our house. So I was just over the moon for her to win. I love this movie so much.
What was her line? She said a line that to all the women out there
I've been told they're past their prime.
who've been told you're past your prime. I'm like, damn right.
Well,
Damn right.
it's a big thing in actor circles, right? Where you get to the point of all my roles are just going to be somebody's wife or somebody's mom. And that's it. That's the most interesting I get to be is of service to a story in that way. And one of the things that your agents will tell you too is like, oh, we got to really try to hold off on getting you in mom age, right? So like, this is something that actresses hear constantly. So I love that she brought this up. And just for people in general too, right? You're never past your prime. You can still do amazing things later in life.
You know what the funny thing is? She played both a mom and a wife
I know.
in a role that ends up winning the
Being-
highest honor in the industry.
Well, and being such a really interesting look at it, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times it's just this tertiary thing of, oh, I'm here to just like support this person or hold a baby while like the husband is like going through his emotional trauma. We're like, but the baby, like that's usually the kind of like bullshit
That was
we
great.
get.
That
Oh my
was
gosh.
great acting.
Thank you.
I thought there was a
wanna
baby
thank
here
my
that was in
mom.
trouble.
I want to thank God. Thank you so much, Jonathan.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, so there's the awards. By the way, another big winner of the evening, the one at the end, it was by the time they got to Best Picture, it was a foregone conclusion it was going to be Everything Everywhere All at Once. But at that point in the evening, I thought at the beginning of the evening, if any film had a chance to beat it, it was Banshees of Inisherin. By the time they got to the final award, that had changed to if any other film is going to beat Everything Everywhere All at Once, and nothing is, but if one did, it's going to be All Quiet on the Western Front.
I don't remember, but I'll get it.
Yeah.
That was the
that's
theme
the
of the
song.
evening. That was the theme of the night. How many times? Like that one,
It won
3,
way more than I
4?
thought.
Yeah.
It won a bunch.
Yeah, every time it went up for any award, I was like, it better win. I need to hear that theme.
I hear that theme music again.
And I should watch the movie sometime.
So I actually thought it would have had some kind of chance about that, but
It
yeah.
kind of got to like at the end of like a World Series or a Super Bowl where you kind of just know at this point now you're heartbroken, your team just isn't going to win, and the crowd starts to just kind of peter
It's
out.
27 to nothing
Yeah,
with
they're
2
like,
minutes left in the
We
game.
already know who's winning this one.
Yeah, and it was all, but you know what? What was it, 10 and a half months? I went saying, this is my favorite movie of the year, everybody.
Yeah.
This is my favorite. And now Fableman's replaced it. Fableman's ended up being my number one personal favorite film of the year, but Everything Everywhere All at Once ended up being my second. God, I love that movie. I still remember the first time Ann and I watched it, and I was just so blown away because, again, the sheer originality of it, but the overwhelming warmth of the familiarity of it. It's just on every level, it was so beautiful and fantastic. And God, it's the year. It's the year of Everything Everywhere All at Once. All right. So with the results down, now comes my annual cry session, where I bitch about the things they still need to do to improve the Oscars. And listen, I got to say, this was the best Oscar ceremony they've had in years. By the way, it's also the highest watched Oscar ceremony they had in years. According to Showbiz, it says initial numbers for the Oscars are in, and they are up from last year in significant numbers and the biggest numbers of the award seasons this year. The Academy Awards brought in 2.5 times the number of Golden Globes, the number of that Golden Globes did back in January. So we said, look, we didn't think we were going to see massive explosion in ratings this year, but we said the ratings are going to start going back up again. And sure enough, they did. And I think they should be glad they did because they put on, again, the best show. I thought Kimmel was a good host. I prefer a movie star hosting the Oscars, personally, but he did a really good job. How nice was that moment, too, when he brought up the donkey from Inisherin? But I thought that was really nice.
Justice for the donkey.
I even liked Elizabeth Banks bringing out the cocaine bear. Without visual effects, what was the one you were talking about editing? Anybody who's ever received a text from your father knows how important editing is.
Mm-hmm.
That was like one of the great lines of the night. It was a fun Oscars, but still, and by the way, a surprisingly felt like a fairly tight Oscars, clocking in at just a little over 3.5 hours. So, hey, look, some of us remember it going well over 4. So that was pretty good. All right, I'm going to start with my annual grind my gears moment about it. There is still no reason every song has to be performed. But John, you just said the highlight of the night was Natu being performed. You know what? They should have let Natu perform, and that should have been it. That should have been it. With every other category, no other category does each nominee get 2 minutes dedicated to them. For best performance, they say nominated for best actor, the nominees are Colin Farrell, and they show a 5-second clip of Colin Farrell's performance from the movie. That's it. That's what the music category should be.
They snuck in interpretive dance in some of those numbers too.
Yeah, there was definitely some interpretive, but I mean, they should be nominees for best song are Whatever from Rihanna, 5 seconds of the
That
song.
was the song, actually.
Whatever from Lady Gaga, 5 seconds of the song, right? It's ridiculous to me that something as unimportant to a movie, like compare it to Best Director. Best Director gets 5 seconds dedicated to them. The song, Best Song, which usually just plays during the credits, gets 2-3 minutes dedicated to them. So you're basically saying that Best Song is 7 times more important than the Best Director. It's ridiculous. You could have shaved another 15 minutes off it. And they still should have just had the Natu number play. Just play the Natu. Do that one. Pick one every year that you think is going to have the most fun performance of the night, whether or not you think it's going to win the award, and play that. So I'm glad Natu, but they shouldn't have done it for everything else. I liked the inclusion of they pulled a little bit of the video game awards where they're starting to, with the Little Mermaid trailer, and they did things about looking forward to the movies that are coming out this year. I think that worked. I think they should do more of that. I think each studio should be allowed to bring one film that says, hey, coming up this year, guys, we're celebrating the year that was, but as we also look forward to this year, Paramount is pleased to present, this is your first look at Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning, Part 1, Natu. And the thing comes up on screen. And that I liked that they did that with Little Mermaid. I think they should do more of that next year. And take out the songs, replace it with actual looks at movies that are coming out. Another thing I really liked, bringing out two hosts or two presenters and just banging two categories out really quick. They each felt like they were given a good amount of time, yet I felt like they moved along quickly. Yeah, other than the song thing, I gotta say, I thought they did a pretty good job. Did anything stand out to you, Chris, about things that they need to change about it, or maybe something that particularly worked for you this year?
No, I love the songs. Keep them. They're so fun.
I never understand that people love the song so much.
I'm really glad that we tightened up the presenter banter. Because usually that, honestly, it's a lot of bits that just don't work out. And we did have some really, really great comedic bits with the bear and other things like that. But I'm glad that it was pretty much, let's just get to this category, as opposed to doing some little like quirky skit before you start your...
The Rock and Emily Blunt did a play on that.
Yeah.
When he kept talking to Emily Blunt's like, oh God.
Yeah, I'm so happy that they opened with that energy. And I feel like that set the tone for the rest of it. I really liked it. I thought they did a great job this year. I really enjoyed it. Ray and I were talking before the show, like the commercials and everything during this Oscars, I just wanted to go to the movies. Like the everything they were advertising for was like, I freaking love movies.
They were
go see more
like
stuff.
Super Bowl style.
Yeah.
Everything was movie related. And so it made the flow of the whole show. I didn't even realize, Kimmel kept making jokes about how long it was. It didn't even feel that way compared to other Oscars. And I couldn't point my finger on it, but I will say, even during the commercials, I was paying attention still. Because it was all most of it was movie related.
Yeah,
I mean, even the watch stuff, even the car stuff.
Right.
There was like a movie theme to it. I thought it brought just like a better package to the whole show. Because some of the slowdown is the commercials.
There was one commercial. It was the 100 years of Warner Brothers. It followed directly after the commercial break, and I thought it was part of the Oscars.
Yeah,
I was like, they're doing like this cool retrospect on Warner Brothers at the Oscars. Then I realized it was a commercial.
Disney also had a little bit of 100 years of Disney sort of thing. You know, Rob was saying the other day, something that he and I have both been saying for a long time, but he brought up, you have to stop treating the Oscars like a show and treat it like an event. And I'll say a lot of those things, the improvements they made with the presentation, as well as the really well-fitted commercials and everything, it felt like an event. Like Ray, like you were saying, the fact that they made even the commercials movie themed. The night felt like a celebration of the movies. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
That's what it should feel like. That and Kimmel went pretty hard on the Will Smith situation last year, which I thought all of it worked. I thought all of it worked really, really well. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What did you think about the Oscars this year? I thought it was there's room for improvement, but I thought it was the best Oscars they've done in a while. It felt tight. It felt run. I have no complaints about any of the winners, even though they're not all the winners that I picked. But overall, I thought they did a pretty good job. What do you think about the show this year? What things do you think they need to do to improve the presentation moving forward? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we are now going to throw open the super chats. I'm sure you guys have lots to say about the Oscars, about The Last of Us, about the recasting in Daredevil. Whatever you guys want to talk about, go ahead, jump into the super chats and leave your thoughts there, and we'll address those once we come back. After we take another moment here and thank another sponsor of our show here today, Ryan Reynolds' own Mint Mobile. We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. If saving more and spending less is one of your top goals for 2023, why are you still paying insane amounts of money every month for your phone bill? Switching to Mint Mobile is the easiest way to save this year. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order from home and save a ton with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. You guys know I made the switch over to Mint Mobile a while ago. The process couldn't have been easier, and I can't believe that I am spending less than a third of what I was spending on one of the other major carriers before. By going online only and eliminating the traditional costs of retail, Mint Mobile passes the significant savings on to you. All plans come with unlimited talk, text, and high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and switch easily in minutes with eSIM. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Mint Mobile for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show and for also being the best mobile phone service provider I've ever had. All right, guys, with that down, let's get over to your live questions that you guys have been throwing in there. Chris, what do we got?
We gotta wait just a second because I had to log back into Stream Elements. So
There we go.
Okay.
Let me just scroll down.
Well, Ray, while we're waiting, will perform Not To.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I will say that was my favorite part of the Oscars.
It was great. It was
I like
fantastic.
that guy's speech. It was so fast and it was it was a nice touch to see that.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
All right, what's next? Let's keep going here. What do we got?
From Little Ray, Last of Us is my favorite game of all time. And
that was covered, but
sorry.
it's Emma.
Emma? From Emma Murdoch. I cried when Quan and Yo mentioned their moms in their speeches. Travolta also got me at the In Memoriam. There was just a good energy, and the Oscars should continue to focus on that more than skits or gags.
You know, if you've got a great skit, go for it. But it just felt like before it was like, well, we need a skit, so let's put in a skit, and they would force in some sketches or whatever. You're right, Travolta's stuff, because as soon as they start the memoriam, you're like, oh yeah, there are a few people he worked with that were in the in memoriam here.
You know, it may not have worked for some people, but I did like what they did. I don't know if they do this every Oscars, but the tech thing that Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors talked about.
When
how
they
the
were talking about
camera
cinematography?
Yeah. Like sort of like those small tidbits that are like I find fascinating.
Sometimes
I thought that was cool.
Yeah,
too.
before the editing portions or whatever, they'll do that. I did find that their banter was falling a little flat.
It was.
Just them two?
But
Yeah,
I did
just the
like
two of them talking,
I did like
yeah.
what they were getting at.
Yeah, the illustrations, stuff
Yeah.
like that was really good as well. All right, what's next?
From Cody Hunt, I personally think that Disney's best live action adaptation is Lady and the Tramp. No one talks about it, but it's magical.
Ooh.
I got it.
This is why it's wonderful that film is subjective. Because we all like different things that hits us all different way. And if you liked that atrocious thing,
Wow.
that's awesome. No, seriously, if you liked it, that's awesome. There's things I like that other people think sucks. That's great. That's the beauty of the art. That's the beauty about being film fans. I'll tell you what, though. I mean, that was one of the first things that Disney Plus put on their streaming service.
Oh, what?
Yeah. It was that and Anna Kendrick's little Christmas movie.
Noelle.
I love
it.
And I love Anna Kendrick.
Love that movie.
You
Are you
do?
going to besmirch the good name of Noelle?
I thought that movie was garbage.
What?
Oh, I thought it
Wow,
was
I can't
so
believe
bad.
that.
No, it's so cute.
See, all film is subjective, but I didn't like the
Great.
live action Lady
Why
and the
don't
Tramp
you
either.
like Joy, John? Why don't you
Oh,
like
it
it?
was so. And Billy Eichner as her brother
He's her cousin.
or her
Bill
cousin.
Hader.
Like I love
Bill
him.
Hader's
I
her
love
brother.
her. I wanted to like it. I wanted so badly to like it. It did not
So
work for me.
freaking
But
cute.
I'm glad you did.
I just love anything with Christmas, though. Anyway.
I know.
I'm a sucker for a Christmas movie.
All right, what's next?
We do Cody Hunt just now.
Yes. So from Jeff, Jamie Lee was the betting favorite. Also, the character she played was a strange, obscure character to pull off. She nailed it. She deserved it.
She was not the betting favorite. Going in before the Oscars start, I believe, while the odds narrowed a lot, Angela was I believe plus 140 or plus 150. And Jamie, I believe, was minus 110, minus 120. So it was very, very close because earlier the gap had been much, much bigger. So it was a small upset. It was a small, again, once Jamie Lee won the SAG Awards, that is when you had to go, oh, wait. Same thing with Michelle Yeoh. Once Michelle Yeoh won the SAG Awards, all of a sudden Michelle Yeoh winning the Oscar became a very real possibility, and it turned out for both of them. It was the night, and what was it Anne was saying every time somebody from Everything
Asian people.
Oh yeah, so like when anything from Everything Everywhere All at Once, Anne would be like Asian people. When Not To won, Asian people.
And then I'll be like, shut up, man.
She's just all night. All right, what's next?
From Sam Fisher, Ke Kwan, Brendan Fraser, and Jonathan Wang had the best speeches. I loved that Wang referenced doing laundry and taxes with his wife in his speech.
Oh, God, that was beautiful. I remember thinking, it is such a shame there are so many people who haven't seen the movie that are not going to catch how beautiful that line is. I'll do taxes and laundry with you for the rest of my life.
Oh,
That is a beautiful, beautiful sentiment if you've seen the movie.
what movie?
RRR.
RRR. It's something that happens right after Not To. It's the actual literal interpretation of the lyrics of Not To, Not To. All right, what's next?
From CJ Rebirth, I loved Kimmel's AMC, and you got to go through him, her bit. Oh, that was great.
Oh God, that was. Listen, I prefer a movie star hosting the biggest night of movies, but he did a good job. I thought he really did do a good job. It was a safe approach, yes, but the Oscars. Listen, I remember the year after that dreadful year where James Franco and Anne Hathaway hosted the Oscars.
And I thought that was going to be amazing because
So
at the
did I.
time he couldn't lose. But
I
man.
thought there was a great idea, much like when they hired Kathleen Kennedy to run Lucasfilm. At first, I thought it was a great idea. I thought it was a great idea to get those two to host. They're going to go like younger and all that kind of stuff. And it was an unmitigated mess. And what did they do the very next year? They went back and got Billy Crystal. And they were like, this year, we need to just steady the ship after the shit show last year was. And I feel like coming off of not only the COVID thing, but last year's show wasn't all that great. They felt like, you know what, let's just tone it down a bit. Let's make it a safer kind of show. Let's be quick. Let's be clever. Let's be tight. And they did it. And I thought it worked really, really well. I thought it worked well. All right, what's next?
From Baruz Haruvela? Oh, I'm so sorry. I butchered that last name. Should have taken that plus 3,000 bet on Jamie Lee. Shake my head.
I mean, I don't know if Jamie Lee was ever, remember, she was minus 3,000. I don't know if she was ever minus 3,000, but I'll tell you what, before SAGs, you could have gotten pretty good odds putting money down on Jamie Lee Curtis, going to Vegas and putting money down on Jamie Lee Curtis. You would have gotten some really good numbers. Not so much right before the Oscars because the gap had closed, but yeah, there was a time when she was considered a huge underdog. All right, what's next?
From Luis Enrique de la Peña. Did you know that HBO Max streamed the Oscars because TNT also has the rights and it belongs to WB?
I didn't know that.
I didn't know.
HBO Max didn't screen the Oscars.
I believe they did in Mexico. Someone was.
Oh,
maybe out of country. Probably.
Yeah, maybe in different markets. Yeah. So different broadcasts will have different territorial rights. So that makes sense to me. Okay, I was going to say HBO Max did not stream.
ABC wouldn't have been okay with that.
Okay, got it. All right, what's next?
From Send Rob Your Scripts. When DeBoe's voice cracked after reading Key's name, my living room became Niagara Falls.
Oh.
Then his speech and seeing him hug Ford. Key deserves the world. Great Smith and Cameron jokes. Oh.
Yeah.
He must be protected at all costs. Yeah. I love him so much.
When just the beauty of it, because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Key was the first person Harrison went to hand the Oscar to.
Yeah, and then he was like, no, the producer.
Yeah, no, but you couldn't have scripted that better. And let's be honest with you, there probably was a little bit. I mean, getting Harrison Ford to be the presenter, they probably had in the back of their head, there's a pretty good chance Everything Everywhere All at Once is going to be winning this thing. But how perfect was it that Harrison Ford, the very first, he bypasses the producer, he bypasses the directors, he bypasses the main lead star, and he goes to Short Round to hand it to him first. Like that moment and the joy on Ke Huy Quan's face, just the pure joy. Talking about his mother too and his brother. It's just, God, it was just a fucking feel-good Oscars. Mm-hmm. It was just a feel-good Oscars, a celebrate the movies kind of Oscars. So much about it I loved. All right, what's next?
From Jeff, Fraser, Curtis, Kwan Yo, all first-time nominees and winners who thought their time had come and gone. None of us should give up dreaming big dreams.
I love that. There's something so great about that. I mean, listen, I didn't change fields to get into law till I was in my 30s. And then I didn't start doing YouTubing and things like that till after that. I mean, it is never, ever, unless you got dreams of playing in the NHL, but it is never too late to take the first step towards something that's your dream. It's never too late. We were talking to somebody recently, like a woman in her 50s was just decided to go to nursing school. Hell yes. It is never too late. And I love the way they put that too. Like these are all performers who thought the best of their careers is behind them now. And there they are standing on stage. I love the way Jamie Lee Curtis said this. Mom, Dad, I won an Oscar. And she started to cry. I started to cry. said it was beautiful. So much beauty in the Oscars. Loved it. All right.
Yeah, I love. There was I don't know where I saw it, but someone was saying, oh, they were giving advice to someone, and they said, well, I want to do this, but when I'm done with it, I'm going to be like 55. And the person said, well, you're going to be 55 anyway. You might as well go
I love
do
that.
it.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
You're going to be 55 anyway. Might as well be 55 and doing what you love.
Yep.
All right, what's next?
From Sam Fisher, is the in memoriam in any specific order?
I don't believe so. I don't think so. I don't remember there ever being a thing like in chronological order of when they died or anything like
Or
that. I just think
alphabetical. I don't think it was.
no. All right, good question though. What's next?
From Matt Boyle, hey Jonathan, Mr. Reeves, do you think your buddy Andy Serkis would direct the new Lord of the Rings movies?
That's a huge undertaking. It depends on if he wants to. You know what? Tell you what, I'm going to have coffee with him later. I'll get back to you.
Good.
I'm going to say no, he won't. No, he won't. All right, what's next?
From Matthew Carter, well, hopefully Angela Bassett gets one day. She will.
one, right?
I really think she's going to win. I still can't believe she didn't win for What's Love Got to Do with It. She should have been nominated one for aiding to exhale. Like, why does this woman not have an Oscar?
Oh, she
it's
hasn't won.
mind-boggling.
I thought
Yeah.
she won one already.
I mean, it is winning an Academy Award is so ridiculously difficult. It's ridiculously difficult because there's no you can't play defense at the Oscars. All you can do is give your absolute best and your best performance that you can do, and then hope that somebody else doesn't happen to give the best performance of their careers of their lives either. It's like that. I remember up until that year that the 3-6 Mafia won an Academy Award.
Yeah, 3-6.
Martin Scorsese had never won an Academy Award before that. I mean, it happens. Well, listen, she is clearly just reaching the height of her powers. I have very little doubt that, like, before 2029 or something like that, we're going to see her on
We don't
stage
even know what she's
accepting an
got
Oscar.
coming up. So
All right, what's next?
From Harv's K, the first Black and Woman of Color Best Actress winner, Halle Berry, handing the Oscar to the first Asian and second Woman of Color Best Actress winner, was gold.
Well, I mean, first of all, you looked at that was nuclear on that stage. You look at the acting talent that was on the stage when those two handed the award to Michelle Yeoh. I mean, I just took a pause. I remember watching the screen, pausing for a second and saying, look at that collection of talent that's on the stage right now. Was amazing. But yeah, there was something that's kind of being overlooked in the fact that it was such a full year for Everything Everywhere All at Once that Michelle Yeoh is the first Asian woman to win Best Lead Actress at the Academy Awards, which is a huge deal. And if Everything Everywhere All at Once had not won Best Picture, I think we'd be making a bigger deal out of it. All right, what's next?
From 21st Century America, some support. Thank you so much.
also Zach there.
From Zach Marcello, some support as well. Thank you, Zach. Sam Fisher, is this the first year Spielberg didn't win an award?
Oh, I'm sure not.
There have been
I
other
think there are
years.
many years
Yeah.
he doesn't win awards. Yeah. So no. He often, like, listen, what was the one joke he made about John Williams? He's been nominated 51 times. He's won 5. That's not great. Like, that's good too. I mean, Spielberg's been there a lot, but I'm sure there have been many years where he hasn't won something. All right, what's next?
From Iverson Tattoo. Hey, crew, rank this list of performances from 1 to 5, with 1 being the highest. Patty as King Viserys, Pedro as Joel Miller, Brian as Logan Roy, Jeremy as Kendall Roy, or Adam as Mark S.
Nope, we don't do like spontaneous on the spot top 5s, top 10s or something, anything like that.
What was the best one out of those?
I will say though that those are all spectacular.
That's a
Bring
stacked
those
list.
back up on the screen for me there, Jonathan. I mean, they were all, God, those are all great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Patty had the most transformative. I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean, it might be Patty, but oh man, Brian Cox's Logan Roy. I mean, those are all just fabulous. Like that's the type of era we live in right now that we get all that.
Oh,
That's
yeah. See, that's what you get for watching everything, John. See, my choices are only limited on that.
Because I only saw one of them,
See?
so it's that one.
See, it works
Pedro.
out.
that's how the Academy votes too.
Oh.
All right, what's next?
Wicked Man, I think we.
From Wicked Man, do you think my Dallas Stars will do some damage in the playoffs?
I
Yes,
know
the wrong
this.
person.
Nobody wants to play them. I'll tell you that right now. Nobody wants to play. Every once in a while, like a team will going into the playoffs, the team's going to get in there that may not have the highest ranking, but nobody wants to play them. And I don't think anybody wants to play the Dallas Stars. I don't think anybody wants to play them. All right, what's next?
From Suthius, this is why representation matters. I feel proud as shit seeing an Asian male and an Asian female winning substantial Oscars at the Academy Awards for the first time. History made.
I mean, I remember, and I was very, very unpopular for saying this before, but I think people started to understand what my point was. I remember back in the year at the Oscars where Oscars So White was the hashtag, right? I remember I got in a little bit of hot water because I said, look, the problem is not that the Oscars aren't nominating the right people. That's not the problem. The problem is more systemic than that. It goes further back than that. It's to the point that studios and producers and others are just not letting stories get told. They're just not letting stories with representation get told. Because I remember that year, I remember the Oscars So White year, I remember I looked at the nominee list and I'm like, because remember, I'm an Oscar purist in the sense that you nominate who the best were, period. Nothing else should be taken into consideration. And if one year it just so happens that, you know, it doesn't look like there's a lot of representation, then the problem wasn't the Oscars. The problem was Hollywood as a fucking whole. The problem has always been Hollywood as a whole. There has to be opportunities given. And listen, we've been seeing films in the last few years. Now, I'm just drawing some very, very surface stuff, but we've been seeing movies like whether it's Wonder Woman or whether it's Black Panther or whether it's Crazy Rich Asians or whether it's Everything Everywhere All at Once. Hollywood is starting to see that representation can equal profit and prestige. And when you embrace that, good things happen. And I think that as long as Hollywood starts to address the bigger issue, it will just naturally flow into the Oscars because those stories are now being told. And it's not work that's done. It needs to continue. But yeah, guess what, Hollywood? It turns out that if you put representation on screen, you can have big success. And just like a lot of movies that have all straight white characters flop, you'll also have some flops. But it can work. And we're seeing that. All right, what's next?
From Stubble McShave, was a good year for A24.
It really was. No Oscars has the phrase A24 been mentioned nearly as much from a stage as it was this year. A24 truly entered the global consciousness of the film world this year because everything was A24, 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 and good on them.
Well, and between all the prestige wins here and how they're doing with horror too, I mean, banger year for them at the box office.
And if you guys haven't visited their online store, right?
Oh, yeah.
They got some cool stuff in there. If you're a fan of Everything Everywhere or Marcel the Shell, they have some cool stuff in there. Check it out. Yeah. I want some of those things.
I didn't even know they had an online store.
Oh, they have so much cool stuff there.
I'll say this. They also put out some weird shit.
Yeah.
But that's what happens when you experiment, right?
Yeah.
When you experiment, not everything's going to work. And they put out some really strange stuff. But man, when they put out their good stuff, man, it's really great. All right, what's next?
From Alan Gonzalez.
Yeah.
When will you do another 24-hour marathon?
Starting now.
Listen, if a cause comes up that is really, really worthy of it, I'll consider it. But the reality is this. The last time we did a 24-hour marathon, I quite literally, I nearly died. Like I got so sick that my doctors were worried about me. I got so incredibly sick from it. It's unbelievable. If you guys watch us back in the day, because we did the 24-hour marathon, it ended. Then me and Dennis, as soon as the 24-hour marathon ended, Dennis and I got in a car, went to Las Vegas so we could accept the Academy of Web Television Award for Best Live Show on the Internet. And we went up there and accepted that. I remember I came off stage. So we got on stage, accepted the award. It was a great ceremony, all that kind of stuff. Best live online show. I walked off stage and went out into the hallway and I collapsed. And there was nobody in that hallway. And I was literally sitting on the floor. I couldn't get up. And I was bundled up, but I got so cold that my muscles started contracting and everything, like I couldn't move. And it wasn't until finally somebody came out and saw me. They went and got a wheelchair for me, took me back to the room. I literally got a hairdryer, plugged it in, put it under my covers in the bed and had the hairdryer turned on full blast to heat me up. And then I was off movie talk for like 3 weeks. So
So no.
So no.
That's
So
basically what you're saying.
so it's I'm not gonna say never, but it might be a while before I do another 24-hour marathon. Yeah, even though I can't remember what we raised, like $25,000. We raised like 25 grand for hurricane relief, for the typhoon relief.
Yep.
Something like that. Big special thank you to Dave Bautista who participated in that. Thank you to Dave Bautista for that. But yeah, it nearly killed me. So I don't think I'll be doing that again anytime soon. All right, what's next?
From Peter Cunnington. John, did you see the trailer for Chinese Born American? It looks like a sequel to Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I don't even know what it is. Is it a docu-series?
I think so. I think
it's a docu thing. I don't think it's an actual movie.
No, and I think they were hyping a lot of those shots, but it's not what you see in those shots, those action things, I don't think are like what the story's about per se. Yeah.
It's based on a comic book.
Is it? So is it narrative or is it a docu thing?
It's about 3 kind of separate tales that tie together. And I believe it's supposed to be like fantasy that stems from like here we go. From like the Monkey King and some other things like that.
Cool. Okay, you know what? Well, maybe I'll be interested. By the way, I should throw this out there. One of our live viewers, Larry YXZ, just put John Campea, Death Watch.
Okay.
All right, what's next?
From Johnny Wiener, Disney Plus released a teaser of American-born Chinese starring same 3 casts: Michelle Yeoh, Stephanie Hsu, and Ke Huy Quan. It's just another multiverse of Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah, again, I had no. Listen, I remember I got.
We reported that, John. Do you remember?
What do you
I remember almost everything that when something comes up that we talked about that we hadn't talked about in a while, but we bring up like the first time.
Did we talk about American-born Chinese?
I remember those things for some reason. I have a strange memory, but we talked about this, and we brought it up. It's from a book or a comic book. It's about
Well, we just talked about it.
Yeah,
right.
But I mean, I remember even I got an email from Disney Publicity saying, the American-born Chinese trailer dropping, and but even then I thought it was just like another one of those. You know how after a season of Mandalorian, they do a kind of making of the Mandalorian thing, and they do the same thing for Marvel. They call it Marvel Legends or whatever.
Right.
And that's what I thought this was. But
Oh, you thought it was a making of EE?
I thought,
okay.
I thought it was like a docu-series of not necessarily just Everything Everywhere All at Once, but of like the fact that we're getting more, Asian
Right.
representation. But
I thought it was about,
I
like,
guess it's a narrative thing.
Asian,
Yeah.
Chinese filmmakers. That's what I thought it was.
It's the
All right.
same director as Shang-Chi.
Oh, so it's Destin doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. All right, let's next.
From Cody Hunt, is there a Last of Us after show today?
As I mentioned earlier, yes, going to be doing Last of Us after show later this afternoon. All right, what's next?
From Zach Marcello, one of the funniest lines of the night, in my opinion. Are you looking to score right now? Just wait until the after party like everyone else.
That was pretty good. That was, again, the whole thing. When the bear came out on stage, I thought, oh, this is stupid. But I quickly won me over. Yeah.
I was watching just because it was on. I turned on the TV and the E after show was on. I figured I found something out that they serve In-N-Out after the Oscars, and like a lot of people go there just to get that In-N-Out.
So you're going to go to the Oscars next year? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Well,
I would love to go to Oscars just to.
That's
not go
another
inside.
thing the Oscars need to improve
Oh,
because
Oscars
that
so
is the
In-N-Out.
worst. Anyway, all right, what's next?
From Azante, Angela looked in shock. Oh, $50 super chat.
Oh,
too.
thank you,
so much.
Zante. Thank you so much for supporting us on that level, man.
Angela looked in shock, but appeared better when Jordan and Majors later made their "Hey Auntie" comment from the stage.
Oh, that was great.
I get that awards are subjective, but I still feel like Jamie Lee wasn't even the best supporting actress in her own movie. I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean that's been out there. By the way, yes, that moment he goes, "Hey, Auntie,"
Hey, Auntie.
that was a
was so
great
cute.
moment. I love that. That was great. And again, this stupid comment. She didn't handle it well. Like, come on, you got a camera on your face. The split second you found out your dreams just got dashed. Give her a break. Come on.
I actually cringe at that. I hate looking at when they announce the winner. I just like, and then I'll look away, and then I'll come. Just because
See, I
it's
like
one of
the
those things
cameras
that
being
make me
on them
feel
just because
awkward.
I like to see the reaction of the person who won.
Yeah.
Like I'm not one of those morbid people that's looking at the faces of the people who didn't win.
that's me.
But being that as it is, listen, honestly, I have no problem with Jamie Lee winning that award. And I personally do think she was the best supporting actress in that movie. I thought Kelly,
Stephanie?
What's that?
Stephanie?
Stephanie. I thought she was great. I loved her also in Shang-Chi. I loved her in Shang-Chi. But she was great in it. She was great in it. But I thought Jamie Lee Curtis's, the role itself called for more, I thought. But I mean, they were both fantastic. But especially if SAG gave it to Jamie Lee, I have no problem with the Oscars giving it to Jamie Lee. All right, what's next?
From Isante again, John, speaking for many, I disagree about removing the songs. The telecast would be all talking heads.
And it would be better for it.
Speaking of talking heads, he was there singing for Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
And that was horrible. That song performance number was terrible. That was awful.
I love him.
It was. And by the way, two of my favorite
That was on purpose.
Yeah.
two of my favorite Oscar moments of the past bunch of years are Lady Gaga moments. One when she came out to sing The Hills Are Alive at the Oscars, and when her and Bradley Cooper did Shallow. Two of my favorite moments. I hated that rendition she did of that Top Gun song. I did not like that rendition. I also didn't like that she just came out in a black t-shirt and ripped jeans. It's like, come on, it's the Oscars. Anyway, but I love Lady Gaga.
was
Again,
really
two of my
dressed up,
favorite
though,
moments of
for
the
the
Oscars
thing.
are hers, completely hers. But listen, this is supposed to be a night celebrating the movies. Those songs are the least important thing in those movies. The song that plays at the end credits, while I can love them, they are not as important as cinematography, which is at play during the entire 2.5-hour movie. They are not as important as the screenplays, which are at play during the entire 2.5-hour run of the movie. They are not as important as Best Director, which runs obviously the entire run of the entire movie. They are the least important awards that night, and they get given the most screen time. That's stupid. You don't give the most time to the least important thing. To me, that's idiotic. I just hate that.
I'm just saying there's other things that you could cut. And it's like, I like music. It's like the thing.
I do too.
Like even last night
You could do a medley.
when we heard the All Western Front, and I haven't seen the movie, but I just like, that sounds so cool. Like now I want to go watch the movie.
Like here's a question. Why does Best Song get to play an entire 2-3 minute thing, but score doesn't? Why doesn't an orchestra get to come out and play the main theme from those music? Because guess what? Score runs through an entire movie. Song plays during the credits.
Oscar so
It shouldn't
song.
even be a category.
So
Hashtag Oscar
they
so
don't do
song.
scores? I never knew
No,
that.
they don't
I thought
do
it was just
scores.
the best music. So
There's Best Song and Best Score.
they should do scores too. Scores are
That's
cool.
what I'm saying. So how come songs get a performance,
get
but the
it.
scores don't? Score is more important than song.
It is,
It's
but also
way more important
a
than
lot
song.
of your casual viewers are tuning in for those musical
true. It's
performances
TV.
because they want to see Rihanna, they want to see Gaga.
I get it, but again,
Lady Gaga.
cinematography is 10 times more important. Cinematography altogether with all the nominees gets about 3 minutes. Best Song, which does dipshit to making a movie better, gets 15 plus minutes.
I just say
There's something wrong about that.
if it
There's
was
something
there
wrong
from the
about that.
beginning, just leave it.
Okay, but what they could do as a compromise, like while they're doing that, they could be running a montage of the film over, you know what I mean? They could cut to the performance, but also to a montage of the film.
I was going to say, if you combine, you know how
nominees.
throughout the night they highlight each of the Best Picture nominees?
Yeah.
I was going to say, if you combine that, but you can't because Best Song only has 5 nomination spots and there's 10 Best Picture. I don't know. They got to figure it out. They got to figure it out.
You would rather have like a melody of all
A
five
medley.
at one time.
A medley, yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, have a 3-minute medley of the 5 songs. Combine that into 3 minutes, I'm all for it. Like so one person comes out, sings about 45 seconds of their song, and that flows into the next singer who sends 45 seconds of the song. You do that, I'm all for it. But that's just me. I may be in the minority, but minority is usually where the world gets changed for the better.
Oh wow!
All right,
Did you really?
The angry, the
I went
minority.
there. I went there.
Okay.
Hey, I really hope we get more super chats about this topic. Let's see what's next.
It's going to be so hard to cast your biopic. Who's going to be brave enough to play you? Oh my gosh.
Liam-
Hated RRR.
the
and
Liam
songs
Neesons.
at the Oscars.
From Chris Martin, who spells their name great. Yes, Chris. Jamie Lee's win and speech legit got me teared up.
Me too.
Love that she thanked the fans of her genre films throughout the years. What a treasure.
I remember when she came out on stage at CinemaCon, and that place was just erupted. I mean, she was so great. She's so natural. She's such a pro at this biz. And it is weird to think that she's never had an Academy Award nomination. And also one of the stars of my favorite action film of all time, True Lies.
So good.
She's so great in that. It again, just when I just loved the whole, to all the genre fans, we won an Oscar. To all my crew, I loved all that. But when she got to the end, she goes, Mom, Dad, I won an Oscar. That was gorgeous. I loved that. All right, what's next?
From CJ Rebirth, I just cry every time I see Michelle Yeoh hug Brendan.
Aw. Remember a while ago they were talking about like, hey, Michelle and Brendan said, we're totally up for doing another Mummy movie. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. So you know what? You had 2 Oscar winners there. Make it happen, guys. All right, what's next?
From Roy L. Ki Kwan is so deserving of the Oscar. He is the kind of person you want to hug all the time. Such a beautiful and kind person. Congrats on the win.
Yeah, I really hope this doesn't become one of those things where he wins an Oscar and then kind of fades away. Like, I hope this turns, I want to see him do more now, just because I want to see more of him. Like, if seeing that guy accepting an Oscar did not put a little bit of light into our dark hearts, I don't know what will, because that was joyous. It was totally joyous. I loved it. All right, what's next?
From The Wrestling Hound. I just finished reading all of Invincible, all 144 issues after watching season 1. It got me to read volume 1 of the comic, and I just kept on reading.
You know, that is the great thing about great stories. It will motivate you to go and check out the other mediums of them. I have to admit, I did the same thing after watching Invincible season 1, but I didn't make it through all of them. Because after season 1, it gets very extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
And I don't like it as much when it wasn't Earth centered.
Oh.
I don't know. I mean, the mythology of it is fantastic.
You're an earthist.
Who's the freaking Freddie Mercury leader of
Queen?
the leader
I
of
don't know what it's about. What are we talking about?
the planet where he's from?
Oh,
Omega Man?
What's that?
Omega Man? His dad? Are you talking about that?
His name isn't Omega Man. What's his? It's
Omni-Man?
Omni-Man. There we go. Omni-Man.
Omni-Man's race. Their leader is a guy who looks just like Freddie Mercury. It's Krog or something like that. I can't remember. I can't remember his name. It's a one-word name, but he looks just like Freddie Mercury. I mean, when you go Thrag, that's his name. Space Windu put in there. Thrag is his name. I mean, the mythology of the story, I like it a lot. I just didn't like it as much as when it was the Earthbirds, so I kind of tailed off it not long after that. But it's going to be really interesting to see how they handle that material in season 2. All right, what's next?
Got Mark.
From Mark24 Gaming, some support. Thank you so much,
Mark.
Mark. From Alan Ling. Hey, John, I'm surprised I enjoyed the Oscars so much. It wasn't super dramatic. The show went smoothly, and I liked Jimmy Kimmel. I don't think he even went too hard on Will Smith.
He could have gone harder. Listen, there's something, while I think the Golden Globes are as useless as my father would used to say, useless as tits on a bull. I think the Golden Globes are stupid, but they put on a great show.
Tits on the ball.
And the reason they put on a great show is because they keep it simple. The show is about the awards they're giving out and everybody partying. You know, there's a simplicity to that. And while I think there should be a little bit more pageantry to the Oscars because it's the Oscars, I think there really is something to be learned from the presentation that the Golden Globes put on. And I felt like this year they leaned a little bit towards that in the Oscars. And I think that's one of the reasons why I thought was an improvement over the last few years. I hope they keep going in that particular direction. All right, what's next?
That's it. We done did it.
Oh, we did it? All right, guys. And that'll do it for today's episode of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making this show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those super chats. Number 1, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number 2, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so very much for your support. Again, we're going to have our Last of Us season finale, open spoiler discussion after show, probably about an hour and a half from now. So keep your guys' eyes open on the channel when the event gets posted, and we'll be doing that there. And of course, the John Campea Show will return again tomorrow at our regular time of 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. That is, what is that? 1:30? Yeah, 1:30 New York time. Make sure you guys come on back and join us for that. And hey, if you guys have a thought about the special afternoon starting time that we had right now, go ahead and leave a comment below and tell me what you thought about that. Anyway, for everybody in the room, Ray Ora, Taylor Gonzalez, running the show, Jonathan Voico, of course, the ever delightful Chris Carr. My name is John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.